Welcome to the 2022 Golf Summer Series race number 19. Tonight, we're here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park for the running of the Dairy Queen 350. With only 4 races remaining in one last summer, 38 of the best drivers are getting ready to face a complete unknown as we head to our 4th new track of the season. But before we get started, let's take a look at the starting lineup. So on the pole is the 20 of Gaming Freak and Exzel 42 of Riot Roberts. Row 2, Ross McMurrow in the 10 and the 20 of Nick Sant. Row 3, Random J in the 53 and Brady Carruthers. Row 4, Kyle Salmon in the 38 and Jordan Stout in the 11. Row 5 is former teammates of Trey Smith in the 22 and Owen Miles in the 37. Row 6, Jordan Forbes in the 61 who came in this race third in the point standings and XM Joe T in the 8 car. Row 7, second in points, Ryan Wilson in the 48 and Johnny Hernandez in the 46. Row 8, we got 2 other drivers inside the top 10 in points, defending series champion Hoodlum and Matthew Hill in the 90. Row 9, Dan McGraw in the 99 and another top 10 points driver in David Johnson. Row 10, Lipsy in the 9 car and current points leader Matthew Burnett. Row 11 have yet another points leader, Andrew Owens in the 23 and Brendan Beal in the 16. Row 12, Calvin Baker and Richard Herman. Row 13, we got the World Fan teammates of Bradley Reim and Caleb Rose in the 19. Row 14, we got the 2 affiliate teammates of Keisha Archison and Alex Cass Stevens. Row 15, Xavier in the 33 and Nathan Bear in 87, fresh off a second place run at Watkins Glen. Row 16, RC Gamer in the 1 and Nathan Stapleton in 97. Row 17, winner from the last race at Watkins Glen, It's Movement and Dan Matteillo in the 17. Row 18, this Powell in the 7 who won Rockingham, which is very similar to this track, and Roberto Crown in the 31. And finally, in row number 19, Aiden Robertson in the 54 and Noah Clifton in the 76. And now it is time for the starting command here in Minnesota.
Drivers, start your engines!
Well, let's take a look at the track info here for tonight's race. So we're going to go 57 laps on this roughly mile-long quad oval with 23 degrees of banking in the corners. And as for here tonight in Minnesota, 60 degrees Fahrenheit with 7 miles per hour towards the southwest. And also other features of this track include the front stretch being banked 4 degrees while the back stretch is banked 3 degrees. And with that being said, the pace car is down pit road, as the sellout crowd is all on their feet to see the summer's best as our championship battle is heating up. Here we go, green flag, we're racing here in Minnesota. And already as we sail into turn number 1, that was a great start for the inside lane, led by Gaming Freak into 28, as Ross McMurrow into 10 to be side by side with Ryan Roberts, and will clear the 42 into turn number 2. There you saw some three-run action towards the middle and back of the pack as into turns 3 and 4 is McMurrow side-by-side for the lead of Gaming Freak, and into turn number 4, Ross McMurrow will clear the 28 for the lead. And coming off turn number 4 for the first time, it's going to be Ross McMurrow leading the lane the 10 car. And already off the bat, this one track's unique feature is already showing his strength. There was a lot of good opportunities to pass, especially in the turns. And as you see Kyle Salmon taking advantage of that fact, as off for turn number 2, he'll clear Gaming Freak for second. See behind the 28 Random J, Trey Smith side by side for 4th, as the 22 car gets a great run into turns 3 and 4 and goes up to second place. McMurrow will lead lap number 2 for now, but the 22 is also 48 of Ryan Wilson, all hot on his heels. Of course, Wilson can miss race second in the point standings, 31 points back from points leader Matthew Burnett, who so far is nowhere to be seen in the first 3 laps of this race. And if Wilson does indeed finish well here tonight, could possibly shake up this championship picture. Meanwhile, Hoodlum forces it 4 wide off turn number 4 as Brandon and Forbes never made contact there as they come to lap number 4. Hoodlum was able to get by this mess, but here's Jordan Stout into turn number 1, making it 4 wide once again as both him and Hoodlum get into the grass here a little bit as both are able to back off. Coming down the back shoulder is going to be Random and Forbes side by side for 5th as the 53 will have the advantage over the 61 into turn number 3 that time by. And once again, Forbes gets good to run in the middle. battle for the lead. Here's Gaming Creek looking to the inside of Trey Smith for the lead, who actually a couple laps ago got around the 28 car for the lead, as they're side by side in the turns 1 and 2. Ryan Wilson, the 48 car, also in this mess as he almost makes it 3 wide off turn number 2, as that 48 car is in the middle. In the 3, Wilson and Smith nearly made contact there, which we're all Gaming Creek to pull away from both of them as well as the rest of the field, as here's Holden Ford side by side both cars coming to lap number 6. Of course, Holden, we're defending Summer Series champions, having a rough patch of races here as of late, as in the last 2 races at Orlando and Watkins Glen, he's been involved in some sort of accident and has dropped to 7 points because of that. Coming to lap number 7, this time by see Trey Smith falling back on the outside lane. He's a 3-ride once again of Random and Brandon Carruthers, as moving back up front as the RC drivers of Gaming Creek and Wilson in top 2, with Holden side by side with Forrest for 3rd. Wilson got a good run off turn number 2 that time by. It's into turn number 3. He's right behind the back bumper of his teammate. Now looks at the inside of the 28 car into turn number 4, as they're going to be side by side once again. Coming back to the line to remain side by side with Gaming Creek barely getting Wilson there, but Wilson is still trying to fight back as we go into turn number 1. Off for 2 is going to be Wilson who had the advantage over his teammate, but Gaming Creek down the back straightaway, still holding his ground on the outside, continuing into turns 3 and 4. Looks like in the 3-4, he's Gaming Creek to be forced 3 wide to the outside, as here's Kyle Salmon once again back up to 2nd, coming to lap number 9. Salmon got a good run on the inside that time. Bison now looking for the lead on Ryan Wilson as they're side by side into turn number 1 once again. Salmon got a good exit off turn number 2 that time as he remains side by side with Wilson into turn number 3 with Salmon having the advantage over the 48. And much like Gaming Creek, Wilson's going to be stuck on the outside as here's Bradley Reim side by side with him for seconds. Of course, Bradley is another driver inside the top 10 in points, desperate for good runs in these last 4 races, and is coming off 2 strong races at Orlando and Watkins Glen, which propelled him up to 9th in the point standings. Meanwhile, behind him, Wilson is still stuck in that outside lane, as both Holden and Carruthers are able to get around him, as now here's Holden side by side for seconds. Coming to lap number 11, this time by Salmon still leads, as the battle for second continues between the defending series champ and Olympic championship hopefuls. Bradley got a good entrance that time by into turn number 1, but once again, the inside is able to veil as Holden will clear Bradley Reim off turn number 2. And predictably enough, into turn number 3, Holden's going to get a good run on the inside and challenge Salmon for the lead. Holden's able to clear the 38 that time by, but he's not safe as here comes the 18 side by side, the 88 car coming to lap number 12. Holden was able to get a good run into turn number 1, but here's Salmon out of nowhere, splitting the 2 Chevys 3 wide into turn number 2. On board of the 18 Carruthers, this time by off turn number 2, as he remains side by side with both Salmon and Holden into turn number 3. It looks like into turn number 3, Brado was able to take the lead on the inside, but out of nowhere, here's this Powell looking to the inside the 18 off for turn number 4. On the 7 car, you see Gaming Creek also back inside this picture as we go into turn number 1, as both Brado and Powell remain side by side. Despite Brado getting good momentum on the outside, the inside is going to once again prevail off turn number 2, as both Powell and Gaming Creek continue to battle. Looks like good issues for the 10 of Ross McRolla. And of course, McRolla started up front and led early on, actually looked like he was making his way back up towards the front. But now we're just getting reports that that 10 car is experiencing a vibration, which is definitely bad news and definitely a tough break for that 10 team, as it was looking like they were going to have a strong run here tonight. Meanwhile, back up front with this Powell and the 7 car is now leading, as we got a swarm of cars trying to chase him down, with Noah Clifton 76 leading the way. You also see Holden side by side of Kyle Salmon, with the 97 Nathan Stapleton making his way into the picture. Into turn number 2, you see battle for 3rd between Bradley Reim and Gaming Creek, as Noah Clifton's trying everything he can to block the both of them as they continue down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Into turn number 4, Bradley's going to get around the 28 car as it once again can force up to the outside, as now Reim's going to now try to take 2nd away from Clifton. See Ross going to 10 car now getting back on the racetrack. Of course, it's on pit road to fix that vibration, but unfortunately the damage has been done as he's marked several laps down and dead last. You know, in the turn number 4, you see Bradley making a 3 wide almost for the lead as he got a great run in the middle of that time by. As a nice under Stapleton behind him will follow coming to lap number 17. Stapleton to the inside is going to make a 4 wide for the lead before the 97 gets into the grass. And the 97 getting into the grass here was probably a blessing in disguise for these leaders, as going 4 wide had a potential to be an absolute mess. But in the midst of that, Noah Clifton is going to be a new leader, as here's Bradley once again in a great run in the middle into turn number 4, as now he'll have the advantage over Clifton. Bradley Reim's going to be a new leader into turn number 1, but here's Clifton fighting back on the outside before Bradley gets another good run into turn number 2. Down the back straight, here comes Powell once again fighting for second as he's to the inside and Noah Clifton into turn number 3 as there's open the 18 of Brittany Carruthers. Powell will clear Clifton for third as into turn number 4. He's now going to challenge Bradley Reim for the lead. Powell and Bradley remain side by side into turns 1 and 2, and the same can be said for the cars behind them of Brittany Carruthers and Noah Clifton, as off for turn number 2 is going to be this Powell getting another good run on the inside and clear Bradley Reim for the lead. And as the chaos in action continues up front for the lead, let's take a look at some of the other drivers through the rest of the field, starting with Dan McRoll in the 99, who's currently 7th. He came to this race all the way back in 34th, with his last GSS1 coming all the way back in 2020 at Dodge Motordrome. And Salmon forces the 99s in the middle, 3 wide. You see the 28 Gaming Creek also currently in this picture. And his 10th is Jordan Stout in the 11 car, who of course ironically came to this race 10th in the point standings. Behind him we see a battle for 11th between 2 Dodges of Lipsy in the 9 and Andrew Owens in the 23, who are both trying to rebound after bad days at Watkins Glen. Continuing into turn number 4, you see more 3-round action with Jordan Flores on the outside and Keith Sargent in the middle, with Brendan Beal in the 16 on the inside there, getting around both of them. Speaking of 3-wide, you see RC Gamer there 3-wide briefly as he's able to go around his teammate Ryan Wilson as well as Calvin Baker, as last time by RC was scored in the 18th position. And as for his teammate Ryan Wilson, of course, earlier in this race, he was actually in the lead at one point, but has fallen back ever since then. And fittingly enough, Wilson's championship rival Matthew Burnett's also making his way up through the field, as the 13 car has been an absolute no-show thus far, as he looks to maintain his 31-point lead over the 48. Speaking of other point leaders back here as well, you see Jordan Forbes, who came to this race third in the points back here as well, alongside David Johnson, 2 car, who came to this race 6th in the point standings. Off turn number 4, once again through wide of Richard Herman this time in the middle as he's battling with Johnny Hernandez and Caleb Rose in the 19. Herman came to this race 11th in the point standings, while Owen Mounds in the 37 came to this race 13th in the point standings after winning at Orlando and having a strong run at Watkins Glen. But unfortunately, as of right now, both those drivers are running towards the back of the pack. And the same could also be said for Nick Sand in the 20 car, as he came to this race 8th in the point standings after losing another 2 positions after Watkins Glen. And speaking of Watkins Glen, you see the driver who nearly won, Nathan Baird 87 car, having a bad run thus far, as he's currently 31st, as he's side by side with Dana Matteillo. And to wrap up the rest of the field briefly, Roberts, Alex Cass-Stevens, Is Movement, and Xavier are some of the last cars on the lead lap, where Lost going to 10 cars, still scored the last 2 laps down. Meanwhile, back to the leaders to go into turns 3 and 4. Here's Powell getting a great run on the inside. He'll clear Salmon for the lead, as Powell is now back on top here in Minnesota. Going aboard the 24 Keith Sargent, as the rest of the field attempts to catch up to the 7 cars. Richardson that time by briefly got to the grass, as he's going to remain side by side with the 99. And here's a good run from Richardson into turn number 3, as that's going to make a 4-wide to 99, as well as Random J and Bradley Reim. As they come off turn number 4, Richardson's able to escape that mess as they come to lap number 26. Well, once again, 4-wide into turn number 1, as RC Gamer that time by was the one on the inside and backed off, with Random J having the advantage over both the 24 and 6. Back up front to the top 3, see Noah Clifton in a great run in the middle, as he's now side by side for second with Kyle Stallman, as Powell continues to lead, coming to lap number 27. Of course, Powell won a last mile long oval at Rockingham just a few races ago, and is looking to do just the same here in Minnesota, but off turn number 2, Clifton got a great exit that time by, as he's not going to be side by side for the lead. Into 3, Powell got a little bit loose there on the outside, as that's going to allow Clifton to get by him, as the 7 is going to be stuck on the outside, 3 wide off turn number 4. Coming to lap number 28 this time by is Noah Clifton back to the point here in Minnesota, as we're through right once again for third into turns 1 and 2. Into 2, looks like Richardson will tuck into second to 24, as off for turn number 2, you see Dan McBrough and RC Gamer getting great runs on the inside, as they're almost 4 wide down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. We saw Powell and Salmon nearly making contact there, as the 7's going to be 4 wide further back, as up front we're 3 right once again for second. And if it goes without saying, there has been lots and lots of sound bites in that action here tonight. It looks like there's going to be no signs of it stopping, as Bradley Reim that time by got into the grass on the inside, as he's going to lose a little bit of ground here as he's side by side of Random J. Meanwhile, back up front with yet another battle for the lead. This time, Dan McRolla seems to be getting around to 76 off for turn number 4. As the 99 car will come to lead, lap number 29 here in Minnesota. The top 3 is once again single file into turn number 1 to RC Gamer. Peeks his nose to the inside of Keith Sargent, as they're going to be side by side for third once again. As Clifton off turn number 2 got a great run in the middle, as he's now right behind the 99. Into 3, looks like Clifton gets another good run in the middle. As behind for 30, see RC side by side of Keith Sargent coming off turn number 4. As we come to complete lap number 30 this time by, it's time for another edition of Golf Summer Series Crank It Up. It's lap number 38 of 57 here tonight in Minnesota, as we got our first 2 drivers down for our green flag pit stops, the 33 of Xavier and the 42 of Ryan Roberts being the first 2 down. As you then come back to our leader, who's currently Brad Reim in the 6 car, with RC Gamer and the 76 of Noah Clifton following behind. Also in this top 10, you see Dan McGraw in the 99, Keisha Ernst in the 24, 30 to Cal Salmon in the 20 of Nick Sant, alongside several others, and speaking of the 20 of Nick Sant, he's coming down pit road, followed by Ryan Wilson, of course, came this race second to point standings, Jordan Stout, Jordan Forbes, Richard Herman, Johnny Hernandez, and Sunday teammate Hoodlum, alongside Owen Miles. Of course, that's our second group of drivers to come down pit road so far, and sorry, it won't be the last. We've got about for the lead here off for turn number 4 of RC Bradley Reim. RC to the inside the 6 car, coming to lap number 40. Later on pit road, you see drivers continuing their pit stops here, as it looks like it's going to be a full mural service, so 4 tires and gas. We've got other drivers down pit road, Kyle Salmon, Gaming Freak, Braden Carruthers, this Powwow, and a bunch of others following behind. You see Aiden Robertson alongside Roberto Crowd doing the pit stops. As back on track, you see Xavier and Ryan Roberts coming back to the start finish line this time by. As of course, those were the first 2 drivers to come down pit road. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see where they're going to cycle out in relation to the rest of the leaders. And speaking of which, here's another group coming down pit road this time by, with Dan McGraw in the 99 and the 24 Keisha Ernst alongside several others. Back on track, see drivers like Nick Sant, Jordan Stout, Ryan Wilson all done their pit stops, as of course are a part of that second group. As now here's probably our final group here, with leader RC Gamer, Bradley Reim, and Noah, as well as Noah Clifton finally coming in this time by. Of course, these 3 drivers are scored, and actually still scored inside this top 3, and it's definitely going to be pretty interesting to see where these guys are going to cycle out, as this could potentially decide this race as the laps continue to wind down here. And as you continue to cycle through the field, you see more and more drivers coming back onto the racetrack, as your top 3 is still on pit road. Saw there briefly the second to last group of drivers leaving pit road here, like Matteillo in the 90, Joe T, alongside several others. As here's your top 3 leaving pit road of Bradley Reim side by side with Noah Clifton, as round goes Ross McGraw to 10 in the back straightaway. Alex Castellanos in 12 also was involved in that, as our new caution for the first time here tonight. And Ross McGraw has had a rough roll. Random J.O.'s been contacting from him in the last second as well. But cutting back to your top 3s, the exit off pit road this time by, as RC is going to appear to beat Keisha Archison off the back straightaway, as both Bradley and Clifton are going to get passed by the 24. Into turn number 4, you see Richard trying to make a last-second charge on the outside, but it's not going to be enough to catch RC Gamer, as he'll lead the field back to the stripe. And as pit stops come to an end here tonight, well, let's take a look at the instant replay for our first caution of the night that's definitely shaking up the course for the rest of this race. So all just started coming off turn number 2. Watch the 8 car of Joe T on the left side of your screen as it was coming back onto the racetrack in front of the 10, 18, and 12. So Joe T comes back on the racetrack in front of Cass Stevens, who in turn makes contact with Carruthers since the 10 McMorrow is spinning into turn number 3, but thankfully was able to get it back, right back around, but regardless, the caution still came out. Let's go on board with the 10 McMorrow here. Then once Joe T got into the 12 of Cass Stevens, just became a massive chain reaction there. And it looks like thankfully for all the drivers that were involved in this wreck, they will continue the rest of this race. Anyways, under caution for the first time here tonight in Minnesota, as we'll be right back with you guys after this. Welcome back to the Golf Summer Series here in Minnesota. We're about to break green after the 8 of GOT came up on the back straightaway, right in front of the 10 of Ross McBrola, the 18 of Brittany Carruthers, as well as the 12 of Alex Cass Stevens. Thankfully for all those drivers that are involved in that, they will continue the rest of this race, and plus in addition as well, McBrola is back on the lead lap after being 2 laps down at one point in this race. Currently, your top 3 is the 1 of RC Gamer, followed by Keisha Ernst in 24, and the 6 of Bradley Reim as we're back on the green here in Minnesota. And already a great restart for the 24 Keyshawn Richardson, as we'll take the lead away from RC into turn number 1 as he remains on the outside. But it looks like RC is not going to give up that lead without a fight as he's side by side to 24 off turn number 2. 1 and 24 made side by side down the back and into turn number 3 with RC having the advantage in the middle as Keyshawn is going to fall back on the outside. But as soon as they say there, here comes Nick Sant Bradley Reim making it 3 wide for the lead off turn number 4. But Bradley getting a great run in the middle of that time by, but he's going to be side by side with Nick Sant coming to lap number 49. Into turns 1 and 2, looks like RC is going to hold his ground in the middle as well once again 3 wide for the lead off turn number 2 as behind them. We're also 3 wide for 4th. Next hand's going to fall back on the inside a little bit, going into turn number 3 this time by, as RC and Brad Reim make contact there on the outside. And as soon as they there comes next hand once again on the inside, full from the 48 of Ryan Wilson. Coming to lap number 50 and 57, only 8 laps to go here tonight in Minnesota, with Nick St. 90 leader in the 20. Looks like Nick St. in turn number 1 this time by is going to move to the middle, as Wilson remains on the inside, as we're still a 3 wide behind. Also inside this picture as you come off turn number 2, the 2 rookies of Ryan Robertson, the 42, and Xavier in the 33, going into turn number 3, as the 42 is right behind the 48. Meanwhile, as for us in the field, we took a lot of 3 wide, some graces 4 wide action, and Brad Reim nearly back in the wall off turn number 4. And speaking of 3 wide, we're once again 3 wide for the lead into turn number 1, with Ryan Robertson on the inside in that 42, with Wilson getting a great run into turn number 2 in the middle. And as I mentioned multiple times at the course of this race tonight, Wilson came in this race second in the point standings, and his points rival with Matt Herman still being mired back in traffic. Tonight could be a golden opportunity for the 48 team to earn some valuable points for our final races of the summer. 6 laps go this time by. Meanwhile, behind the 48, we got another battle for second. This between RC Gamer and Trey Smith into turn number 1, as once again Nick Stan's going to make a 3 wide in the middle, and the 22 is going to lose some ground here. And looks like continuing down the back straightaway and into turn number 3, Smith's going to have to settle for 4th, as it's once again an all Chevy top 3. Off of 4, Smith was able to get a good run on the inside, as he'll be through right once again for 2nd, coming to 5 laps to go. Into 1, Smith and Nixon nearly make contact there. But despite that, that 20 car is going to get a great run in the middle as Accor, RC, and Smith off for turn number 2 for 2nd. Continuing down the back and into turn number 3, here comes Kyle Salmon also in this picture to challenge Trey Smith for 4th. But as soon as I say that, here comes Trey Smith like Gavin, another great run to the inside as Accor, RC for 3rd, and once again be side by side for 2nd, 4 laps to go. Nick Sanders all over the back bumper of Wilson into turn number 1 as here comes Smith once again on the inside, side by side for 2nd, with the 20 car remaining on the outside. These two are going to remain side by side for 2nd into turns 3 and 4, as Smith will clear the 20 car into turn number 4 this time by, and now be side by side with Wilson for the lead. Off of 4, Smith in the middle is going to have the advantage over Wilson, coming to lap number 55, 3 laps to go here in Minnesota. As the battle for the lead continues into turn number 1, out of nowhere, here comes Shiner Hernandez and Lipsy into this picture, as they're going to be through out of Nick Sand for 3rd. Meanwhile, down the back straight into turn number 3, Trey Smith's going to take the lead away from Ryan Wilson, as Hernandez remains in the middle, as now he's going to be side by side with Wilson for 2nd. Lipsy, the 9 car, is going to also follow suit on the inside, and he'll once again make a through rider for 2nd, 2 laps to go this time by. The last time Trey Smith has won a GSS race was last year at April, as a dismal season so far this year, as off turn number 2, Hernandez will clear both Wilson and Lipsy, as he'll now be side by side for the lead down the back straight away. In the 3, Hernandez will force Smith to the outside, and so he'll take the win away from the 22 into turn number 4. Lipsy going to follow suit on the inside, and so he'll be side by side for 2nd as we come to the white flag. 1 lap to go here in Minnesota. Through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. Lipsy remains side by side with Smith as the 9 stays committed to the inside. Off for 2 down the back for the final time. Lipsy remains side by side with Smith as into turn number 3 gets another good run in the middle as he's now going to be side by side for Hernandez for the lead. And coming off turn number 4, we're side by side for the win. As you come back to the line, it's going to be Lipsy who wins. What a finish for that 9 team, as after 65 heartbreaking starts, Lipsy finally gets his first career Summer Series win, and it comes here tonight at Minnesota. So obviously a big congratulations to that team here tonight, as this will definitely help them in the championship standings. But anyways, let's take a look at the finishing results and point standings after tonight's race. So here we go. Lipsy, the 9 car, gets his first career Golf Summer Series win. Once again, a big congratulations to that team. It's been a long time coming for them. Lipsy's been in the Summer Series since the very first race in 2020. Definitely a much deserved and earned win here for that 9 team here tonight in Minnesota. Meanwhile, as for Johnny Hernandez, who of course finished 2nd here tonight, as the margin of victory between him and Lipsy was 5/100ths of a second. Finishing 3rd is Ryan Wilson, definitely a fantastic points night for the 48 team, as of course led some laps and finished inside the top 3. Good run from Trey Smith for the 22, as he'll finish 4th here tonight, while Brad Reim gets another much-needed top 5 finish, finishing 5th. Finishing 6th is the one of RC Gamer, who also led the most laps here tonight, and probably would have won if that caution for Mick Marola did not come out. Solid night for Nick Sand, the 20, as he finished 7th here tonight, while Gaming Creek in the 28 finishes 8th. Good rebound for Jordan Forrest in the 61, as he'll finish 9th here tonight, while running off the rest of the top 10 is Noah Clifton in the 76. And now for the point standings after race number 19, only 3 races remaining in one last summer, and oh my goodness, look at these points. Last time at Watkins Glen, Burnett had a 31-point lead over Ryan Wilson, but now because of Wilson finishing 3rd and Burnett being mired back in traffic pretty much the entire race, that points lead has now shrinking to only 2 points. This is going to be yet another close battle for the Summer Series Championship, and With these next 3 tracks coming up, of course, being a super speedway, one of the fastest intermediates, and Martinsville, the short track, is definitely going to be another championship battle you do not want to miss, and it's definitely going to be very, very close, as it's been over the past 2 seasons. Meanwhile, as for the rest of the top 4 in points, they remain all about the same. Jordan Forrest is still in 3rd, now behind by 20, while Andrew Williams remains in 4th by my 33. Meanwhile, in 5th is Bradley Reim, who puts himself right back into the championship picture behind my 40, while Nick Sam moves back up to 6th in points behind my 41. In 7th, of course, after winning tonight, is Lipsy in the 9 car, who's behind my 44, while Matthew Hill in the 90 car drops down to 8th in points behind my 46. Moving up 1 position in 9th is Jordan Stout in the 11 car, or running off the rest of the top 10 is David Johnson in the 2 car after being 6th at the last race at Watkins Glen, now being the last driver inside this top 10, behind my 59. So next up, race number 20, we head to our final Summer Series Super Speedway race, and it comes with the fan favorite 8-Bowl Super Speedway for the running of the USAA American Heroes 350, which will be on this channel in the coming days. But as always, y'all, thank you guys for watching this race. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.